Hi everyone, it's Simon from Higher Plane Games with a spoiler-free review of The Midnight Sanctuary. This game I bought on PlayStation 4, but it's also available on PC, Nintendo Switch and Xbox One. It's a 3D visual novel with absolutely no gameplay. Let's get that out of the way straight away. There is no diverging paths, there is no multiple endings, there is no dialogue choices or dialogue trees. Nothing whatsoever. You are playing 3.5 to 4 hours worth of cutscenes back to back in small chunks. The only gameplay element there is that you can choose the order in which to play some of those cutscenes, but you'll always have to play them all and you'll always get to the same singular ending. That, combined with the unique visual, garish, in-your-face art style that goes out of its way to make your eyes hurt, makes The Midnight Sanctuary actually quite a difficult sell, and for 95% of the gaming population you wouldn't want to touch it. However, The Midnight Sanctuary has some really unique ideas and puts across an interesting story, albeit utterly flawed and really ham-fisted. And it's one of those games that's been quite unique because I've spent more time thinking about some of the things that it brings up in the themes that it talks about. And I've kind of enjoyed batting it around in my head more than I think I enjoyed playing the game. So I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. Indulge me. The Midnight Sanctuary is a game about faith, religion and perspective. It deals with Christianity in Japanese history, where Christianity was essentially banned and people were exiled out for being Christians. This follows a band of Christian people who have then refound a village out in the sticks. Having then grown to be relatively prosperous, they've then invited a lady called Miss Tachibana along to document their history and their beliefs and their legends and their stories, so that they can then build up a tourist trade and trade on those stories and kind of invite them in as a friendly, happy Christian town and look at how great we are. Essentially, massive market campaign. So, you play alongside Miss Tachibana, essentially going around speaking to all of the different village people, and they all are generally highly Christian because the cathedral dominates the town, and you meet people who are so devout that they will do anything that the church says and will follow their religion to the nth degree, because all they want is the salvation and the beauty of heaven at the end of it, and they will continually go down darker and darker paths to ensure that they get there. Then you've got people who are a bit more sceptical and are like, I've seen the outside world and this isn't normal to have such a warped idea of religion and being dispowered, I suppose, instead of being empowered by your religion and your beliefs. And so you've got that in that corner, and then you've got people in the middle, and they're kind of the most interesting, where you've got 3 or 4 characters who are having crises of conscience or crises of faith, or are putting their own ideas and wants ahead of their religion, and therefore are seen to be good or bad or indifferent depending on who you're with at the time. Now, that in itself is quite a unique premise for a game to be dealing with, and I really admire The Midnight Sanctuary for having a go at it, no matter how ham-fisted the metaphors are, no matter how stilted the story is, because it really is stilted. The first half of the game is exceptionally slow, the second half is way too quick. And the emotional beats that go throughout the story are really off-kilter because they don't quite match what's going on, and it's all a bit awkward. However, what it did kind of make me think about is the issue of perspective. So, if someone believes that something is fantastic and then will go and do something that I perceive to be terrible in the name of them doing something because they think it's good, and to them this act is good, am I in my place to then say, no, that is bad, you should not do that? Because it's actually me that feels bad rather than the people themselves. And what The Midnight Sanctuary does a few times throughout the story is put you in those situations where you kind of think, well, they're doing something even if you consider it to be bad because they think it's good and they're getting joy and goodness out of it. Who am I to stop that? And it's made me kind of ponder back and forth in a really pretentious Simon type way which I can do quite often, so I apologise for that. But sometimes I like to get lost in theories, thoughts and philosophical debates in my brain, and this was a good game to do it with. Now, back to the actual game itself, because that's kind of the main crux of the story, essentially, is with some supernatural elements thrown in for good measure as well. It bills itself as an occult horror. It's really not. There is no scares in it whatsoever. What is scary, if I'm going to say about anything at all, is the way how the text is displayed in the game. Although all of the voiceover is in Japanese and it sounds fantastic, as does the music to the game as well in general, because there's 2 vocal numbers in the game. The text, which is only in the non-VR version that I've taken a look at, is really small and tiny and done right in a sliver of black at the bottom of the screen. Makes it difficult to read and therefore quite difficult to follow, especially if you've got stuff that's running on autopilot and you've just got auto speak going on, so it's like you're watching a film. That really detracted from the experience from me, which on top of awkward visual design, clunky narrative and clunky story, means that really only the purists for visual novels, or those who like to go after those niche, weird, out there type experiences, will probably find something that they'll enjoy with the Midnight Sanctuary. However, I will say I'm really glad that it's been made. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. This channel is just one of my many projects that cover games, music and film. If you enjoy any of these and would consider supporting me to develop further in the future, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Satorimon. Thank you for your time and for watching the video.